So we have one more story and one more ending to go through. We still have to do the save ending, which I am a little curious if that does something drastically different or not. Anyway, is there anything I want to do to my character before we kick into this? You know, I gotta say I've been really liking this flute. Oh yeah, that got blown. See, only 18. Damn, that's cheap as hell. Moving your levels, super expensive. Fixing critical skill, here's a few pennies. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue, well, if you break everything, then you're kind of screwed, but I would imagine that's the point of these, is so you would be able to go back to some level and do something. But yeah, I like this flute one. It's really good for reaching back, hitting stuff. I think we'll definitely be making use of that when we fight the final boss. Stonefist has been pretty nice. So, if only there was like an elemental version of the flute. But yeah. It's a shame I can't really make much use of this without having to like re-grind like insane back to where I am. I think I've always put my faction points in. Okay, I got 5, but big wowzer. Also, if you remember last time, we actually went to see what the hell this was, because I forgot like 100 times to go check it, and just more missions. Whether it actually leads to anything interesting, I have no idea. Anyway, back to the deeds, though. So, yeah, we had, all that. Whim was done. So, we just had the story in Sanctum, and then we do the final fight. So, let's just get on with it.
A man stood, gazing at the water. I asked what he was doing. He replied he was watching his own face reflected in the lake.
It's bewitching, my face.
I tried to stop, but failed. I called him a vainglorious cad. The words struck him like a blow. He fell to his knees. His face was a mask of anguish, as if the world were ending.
Impossible. I'm ravishing.
I felt as though I'd encountered something otherworldly. I distanced myself from him. But he followed me, anger in his eyes. He haunted me like a ghost.
I guess it's about time somebody stalked him instead. I mean, most of these stories we just go with someone else. It was about time. Don't really got a clue where this story's headed, though. Obsessed with his own face. Let's see what his actual, like, in-game model looks like. He thinks he looks good.
Gaze upon my beauty.
Yeah. Looks like a beauty-type character, so... My first thought was maybe the main character doesn't see him the way he sees himself, but looks like a beauty guy. It wills. to start the dang eating thing.
What a poor shame.
You know, Lily, that's like the only monster that even does something like that too, when you think of that. No! Guess one of the negatives with my current build, though, is I became very reliant on doing stuff very close. In the damn corner. lucky in that. No, 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 no. Kept running away.
Well done, but I wouldn't waste my time.
Over here. That's what we're for. There we go. It should be everything. Yep. He's done now. Come on, lady. There we go. And be like, ah, you done yet? Oh, we don't get an option on this one. That's actually kind of well. Upgrades. See, pretty sure we have a lower version of that. Conjure a front-facing whirlwind. Medium range, 313 casts. That sounds pretty nice, actually. Depending on how well it is aiming-wise. What do I want to place it with if I try?
The monsters I fought, he would save. He was part of Sanctuarium, I learned.
Well, actually, you know, that actually brings up a question. Why the hell is he with Sanctuarium? If he's a narcissism, why the hell is he with... Maybe a wannabe hero? Let's see, it does 300 and has 13 casts. I mean, it does more than the flute, for sure. I wonder... Oh. I'm wondering... Because I'm really getting a lot of magic spells that are just a lot better for damaging stuff now. So I'm wondering if I just want to go for just using magic, really. I'm wondering. Because it does more damage, and the cast amount is getting much higher now. So I don't have any other versions of it. I mean, it's a pretty decent amount of cast and damage. If it aims really well, it could be useful. We'll give it a shot.
As promised, though, Calixto followed wherever I went.
Do you now see my beauty, sir?
Utterly exhausted by him, I gave him the answer he wanted. He insisted I hadn't...
Said it from the heart.
Yes, so I need to know you're being truthful in that statement.
Yes, well, there's good reason for that. He told me he served as a recruiter for Sanctuarium. And he only dealt with a very specific subset of people. I had no interest in his work. But that didn't stop him prattling on about it. A fiend appeared before us. The twinkle suddenly returned to his eye. He was brimming with energy now. It was as if we had beheld a vision come from heaven.
Allow me to redefine grace in motion for you.
I'm not really sure what to think of him. A lot of the greedy guys, like an excellent example of really pulling the wool over your eyes. You spend the initial time with them and they're like, ah, he's just a greedy fuck, and then in the end it's like, aw, he actually cared about people. If only everyone was rich. It's actually really touching in my opinion. I'm trying to see if I can foresee the twist. There has to be some kind of twist with this guy. Well, it's a Snow White monster, so it shouldn't be that bad.
Gaze upon my beauty.
You're no Savando, that's for sure. So let's try it. Pretty decent size. Just basically goes straight.
Don't be too violent with me. You'll make me
Come on. Need the fate. I've seen that happen before in this stage. What the hell? Probably not go down with the ship heal.
Well done, but I wouldn't waste my time. Now, save.
Do I be gone? Oh dear, hold on. Does it still reflect? No, it's gone. bad. Work up to the last day. Any whats on you, well? Good one. How you doing today? We should be able to get this done today. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do. Get out a lot of the overtime I'm going to have to do after this now, though. It's going to suck for a while, though. Come on, Snow White. You know what makes that whole statement worse, though, is the fact that I was just given a bunch of money. It's like, there's even less reason I need to be... But yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of extra money, likely, if I don't find ways to get out of it, though. Grab all that money. Yeah, I gotta admit, I've been kind of curious of trying the stock market a little. Only 130? Summon apple dwarves to attack foes. Now that sounds very interesting. How many apple dwarves do I get? Man, I gotta say, if GameStop stock gets down to a reasonable price, I might try buying a little out of just the interest to see if it goes back up. I wonder what it is today. It was like last Tuesday, it was like, it went up to like 350.
True to his organization's code, he saved the monster. But that was only the beginning of his work, he explained.
I don't know about now. Actually, wait, did I?
The monster.
I cannot deny my anger at your insult, sir,
But to take revenge would fly in the face of Sanctuarium's creed. Despite his words, he still looked pale, as if I'd wounded him.
Well, what man hasn't once erred?
He said. What truly mattered, he claimed, was how we are redeemed.
In my infinite beauty, I feel I must offer you a chance to atone.
Nothing the man said made an ounce of sense to me.
I forgot to listen to the conclusion to the first chapter.
This man, Calixto, he called himself, said he was joining me. That he would make me see his beauty, whatever it took. That he could bear to do no less. It reinforced my opinion. The words vainglorious cad again fell from my lips, and again he collapsed with a shriek.
Okay, never mind, I gotta see the conclusion to 2. Daily Cruise Bitcoin. A lot of people are pissed at him about that. See, I don't really, like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know anything about Bitcoin and stuff. I don't know anything about that crap, but, like, I saw, like, when that happened, a lot of people, apparently, like, Bitcoin supposedly uses a lot of power to be made. Like, I still don't even understand Bitcoin, honestly. 7 dwarves. But they don't do that much damage. How many casts do you get? Yeah, I don't get it. Like, it's virtual money that doesn't have any attachment to anything. Like, I don't like what's stopping you from just making thousands of it then? Like, I don't get it. It lasts for 30 seconds. They do 140 damage. You can use it 12 times. Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I mean, if it's all digital and it has literally no connection to anything physical, what's just stopping you from just making a bazillion zeros? Like, I don't understand it. I literally do not. It sounds interesting. Thing is, it doesn't do as much damage. Let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen? Long thing. Oh yeah, I know about all that. Like what? Like he mentioned that doggy coin.
He saved the monster.
But I don't know.
No one can say whether those who are saved find true salvation afterwards. Those who drowned in their desires once often sink into them again. And society does not look kindly on those who have become monsters. Many of the saved endure prejudice and abuse. Only a lucky handful can return to their former lives. The woman Calixto saved seemed truly repentant. She said her name was Pulcha. In response, Calixto pressed the former monster to join the ranks of Sanctuarium. The organization serves as a haven for reformed fiends with nowhere else to turn. His calling was to go forth and extend the hand of salvation directly. What matters is how we atone. All humans err. We transgress.
As when you insulted me, sir.
He added unnecessarily.
I'm wondering if perhaps he was a monster in his past.
I'm ravishing, am I not?
He put the question to Pulcha, the poor woman he'd only just met. She nodded politely, though it was clear she was merely humoring the one who had saved her. His next task was to escort the girl to Sanctuarium's hold. He asked me to assist him in this.
Do this, and I'll forgive your slander, sir.
Calixto then began to tell the girl an account of his own past. He had been a common sorcerer, a faithful adherent to Avalon's code. But an encounter with one monster changed his life. The beast had been a young woman once.
Help me.
Finishing off a pleading target. Just another part of the necessary evil we sorcerers trade in. But that day, he couldn't do it. He saved that woman, Alba she was called. Though he couldn't offer a reason. Well, who amongst us can say why they've fallen in love?
Funny, isn't it?
He said after finishing his tale.
A man as ravishing as I, falling in love at first sight, and with a former monster, no less.
Oh, just kill monsters. Quick and easy. Still wondering the hook. There has to be a twist. Some little red herring in this. There's almost always been something.
Gaze upon mine.
Yeah, you beauty. Again, you're not Savando, buddy. Been a while since we've been in this weird-ass Rapunzel place. Let's see what these dwarves are like. Interesting. They move very slow. They don't appear to really follow me. No one seems to be doing Dragon Quest lately. I didn't know that.
Don't be too violent. You'll make me look back.
They don't have a color, so... It don't appear that the monsters attack the apple wolves. They just kind of wander around and do their own thing.
Now, save it.
They're just a little too random. If they moved more quicker, then they might be more interesting. Or if it was something I got more early on in the game. At this point, like the fact they spend so much more time wandering around and shit, kind of makes it a tough sell to... Yeah. And the fact that they don't, like, attack the apple dwarves either.
Fight
I mean, the fact that they don't get attacked has the upside that you don't have to worry about them getting destroyed. It has the negative effect that they don't cause a distraction. Because if they did attack the apple dwarves, then you could argue, well, they might not be getting a lot of attacking in right now, but they're offering to be a distraction. Damn it. And then you got these flying enemies. Yeah, they could be potentially useful on a large monster, maybe. Potentially. Can you summon multiple castings of them? Holy crap. Okay, it looks like you can have 2 sets of them. You can have quite a little army. I think this late in the game, they're probably not too useful, though. They don't attack very often, even though it's 120 damage, which is a pretty good attack damage. They don't attack very often. So, I think if it was something I got much earlier, could put a bit more use into. I mean, there is the potential they could be really useful against a big monster, possibly. Because as far as I can tell, they don't get targeted, they don't take damage from the enemy from what I've seen. So they would just waddle around it, trying to headbutt it. Might be worth trying on a big boss. Maybe.
Pulchar listened intently, so he continued speaking. Ever since falling for that girl, he was filled with empathy for former monsters. Which was when he first began to gaze at his face, out of habit. Calixto and this woman, Alba, fell deeply in love. But her past drew the scorn of those around them.
Perhaps something bad happened with her.
So they moved away from prying eyes to live alone together. To her, Calixto was special, unique among men. Who could ever say they loved someone as much as she loved him? Alba came to him with a confession. Her father, too, had become a monster in the past. And the children of monsters? They too were shunned. In the end, her spirit buckled. And so she became a monster. But even her past did not dissuade Calixto from his affections. Her parents' crimes made no difference to him. He loved her.
Enough talk. For now.
He said wearily. Pulcher seemed eager to hear more, but agreed to leave the rest for the following day. The new day came. But Pulcher had vanished.
That's peculiar.
And thus our search began. Calixto explained this was common among former monsters.
I expect it's the fear of never being truly human again.
The girl he'd loved, Alba, was no exception. Their life together did not last for long. A creeping change took root in her mind. She was perpetually afraid. Her father had been a monster, as had she herself. Wasn't it fair to assume the cycle would continue? Doubts became fears, became obsessions. Humans who become monsters are doomed to the same mistakes. It was a common belief, but none held it more true than she.
So she feared having a family that she would just drive them into the same thing.
She loved me with all her heart, and more.
Ironically, it was that love that tortured her. If she became a monster again, he would be disgusted with her. This kind man, her first love. He was the one person whose hatred she couldn't possibly bear. Before me now stood this narcissist, biting hard upon his lip as if to punish himself.
I'm wondering how the story may end. It could just be getting to the point of just forgive.
Gaze upon my beauty.
Oh, Screech just destroyed them. Yeah, so this isn't gonna be a boss for these types. Moves way too fast. I don't think I have a good setup for this at all. Flies way too fast. Yeah, I need a different gear setup for this. Like half the stuff I got is not gonna be useful right now. Not until it's grounded. And that's the last story for him. We'll do that, and then we redo the final fight. See, I'm wondering if I should try that in the final fight. I don't know, like, I don't really think it'll keep up on the amount of damage. I think something homing, I think, would be good. Like throw homing, not the ground homing. That's the strongest, like, throwing I got. See, 35. That one's 60. I wonder if I could use the don't, because it does a lot of sweeping. I could maybe use the head thing. What was the icon for it? Because he dive bomb into it. What was it? I don't remember what the icon looked like. Going to use. I believe it was poison typed, if I remember correctly. Shields, boxes, and it. Waking the magic to wave them. Oh yeah, it's blood type. What the hell is that damn head? Wapka, Rising. These mines. The type. Oh no, there it is. It was Berserker's chains. See, 490. Yeah, it's pretty good. See that? Until his wings are broken, that ain't gonna be very useful. Put this back on. Does it always have to go to packs? always goes to damn packs. Each and every time. Okay.
Gaze upon my beauty. Let me show you the truth.
Well, what was that? Well, it looks like getting him down. There's a wolf when he's on his lightning now. Thank you, Matt. You.
Never mar my beauty. Dare
Come on, over here. No, no! I call hacks. Come on. Come on. Go for the head. Got one wing foot. No, I think it's Cactus. Don't hit. There we go. No more flight for you, Al. No, where the hell did that one come from? kind of tired though, lady. Double electrocuted, man. Hey, hey. Watch that be whole again. I bet that's whole. Going bolts.
He shared the end of his story with me. Alba began to eat less and less. She withered away. No salve or spell can cure what ails the heart. Now sickly and frail, she asked a final favor of him. Before she became a monster, before he had cause to hate her, she wished to be his sacrifice. Let her live on in his right arm as a beautiful memory. Calixto just couldn't bear to watch his love's heart crumble. He did as she asked. Alba's love for him was true, deep as any love could be. Her soul affirmed that, housed now within his flesh. The woman who loved him was now a part of his own body. They were truly inseparable. And so he came to feel at times a tremendous love for himself. As a kind of proof that the woman who loved him so was still with him.
So, what the game is trying to say is that the reason he acts like that is because it's the feelings of her in his arm.
When we found Pulcha, she was alone and shivering.
But if I was to falter again...
She cried. Calixto wrapped an arm around her trembling shoulders.
Even if you became a monster again, you would have an ally in me. I'd save you every time.
I wonder if it wasn't Alba he wished to speak those words to. If he regretted the sacrifice of the woman he loved, well... It's in how we atone for our sins that truly matters. But perhaps his words were more for his own benefit. Calixto, cursed to love himself, lives on, so he may help others.
His love for himself is a curse. So what the hell is a survivals thing now?
These are the memories of the survivors. It is my duty to tell of the cataclysm witnessed by mankind. That a cursed sorcerer would bring about the end of the world. No one believed this prophecy, save the heretics of Grimm. But one day, all would see. The man who would destroy the world. They say his right arm was covered with countless wicked eyes. Now, though he was taken for a man, at times his mask would slip. Should the mood take him, he would take the vile form of a dragon. And hordes of monsters would trail in his great shadow. What people, in such times, could think to bicker with one another? Avalon, Sanctuarium, Grimm. Their three leaders held a meeting. Terwin, Grimm's hierarch, disclosed her plan and asked the others' aid. The cornerstone of her plan was to be Persapius's Ars Magica. She entreated him for it, yet Persapius would only shake his head. No. The old man had no time for Grimm's machinations. Negotiations broke down, and the meeting ended a fruitless endeavor. Lanixian, the leader of Sanctuarium, spoke not a word for the duration of the meeting. She felt lost. Was preaching salvation really the thing to do in these grave times? The hordes of monsters had only grown, and the world was in chaos. One's reason becomes increasingly frail as terror encroaches. And unshackled from reason, man let the darkness wash over him. A vicious cycle followed. The panic produced yet more monsters, which in turn fanned the flames of fear. Not even Sanctuarium could escape from this terrible vortex. Followers of the faith started turning into monsters themselves.
So what? When the end of the world... So, is this supposed to be what happened to people before, like, the whole end of the world thing went full force? Like, we are the ones who survived. This is where our story begins. Our story begins here. Yes, this is where my surviving story.
Burdened by their cruel fate, those that had been saved began to question their faith. All Lanixian could preach to her flock was the message of prayer. That even in such dire times, one must not give in to selfishness. It was a beautiful message, but one that fell on deaf ears. One that couldn't placate the cries for a clear road to salvation. Eventually, voices of criticism coming from Sanctuarium's inner circle came to the fore. saying kindness wouldn't save them. Members of the flock abandoned Sanctuarium in droves. Only a handful remained. Those few heeded Lenixian's words and continued to pray fervently. Then, without warning, an eerie stillness settled over the world. The monsters vanished. The miasma that choked the skies lifted. Revealing a gentle smile, Lenixian declared to her followers that their prayers had been heard. The devout few were jubilant. However, there was one man who remained unmoved. Egress, Lenixian's #1. The man once known as the Mage Slayer. Without hesitation, he asserted,
It must be a trap.
Lenixian admonished him.
You are far too anxious, Egress.
But Egress was not convinced.
The world is not so kind as to let mere prayer save us.
Such objections were only natural for a man of his disposition. But to the people of Sanctuarium, his words were anathema.
I am aware the world is cruel.
The disappointments of reality were in fact Sanctuarium's lifeblood, for it was ideals that they offered. That was the first time Lenixian had ever rebuked her friend, and so she excommunicated Egress from Sanctuarium. He left without a word, his expression completely occluded by the scars of sacrifice that he bore. How long had it been since Egress left? The world around Lenixian crumbled. The azure skies overhead felt no more real than a canopy. The husks of dreams rained down.
Yeah, I'm assuming these are the events that took place leading to the end of the world.
When she awoke, Lenixian realized what had happened and despaired. The world had not been saved by prayer. It was Terwin's scheme. Her plan to have mankind share a world of dreams. The illusion conjured up by Grimm offered only a fleeting peace. It was for naught. The fires yet raged on, and monsters still roamed. Egress's words pierced Lenixian's heart through. The world is not so kind as to let mere prayer save us. Reality hounded the idealist savior all the more furiously. All Lenixian could do was watch. Watch as those dear to her became monsters.
So when it looked peaceful, they were in the dream.
The staunchest followers who had stayed by her side, they would all give in, becoming monsters themselves. They could not survive without Lenixian. Buffeted by fear, Lenixian's words were their only respite. That all-consuming dependency was the trigger for their descent. Dread lurked in Lenixian's heart. She did not realize it herself, but to her obsessive followers it was all too obvious, and it spread. Mere reverence for Lenixian was not enough for them to cope. In the depths of their despair, they wanted to have Lenixian herself, their only sanctuary. They began to worship her. They believed that by melding with Lenixian, their one respite, their fears would be dispelled. And so the monsters attacked her to sacrifice and absorb her.
Have I failed them?
Perhaps it had all been wishful thinking in the face of such horrors. Her ideals rang hollow. certainly in no state to preach ideals. With the end of the world at hand, what use would her lofty ideas be? Darkness began to cloud her mind.
I think she's about to give in.
And then the white wind came, as if to dispel this dark haze. A sacrifice-scarred man, in white. It was the former Mage Slayer, the man Lenixian spurned. Egress, holding back Lenixian. Egress faced the monsters in her stead.
I have been cast out. I should be the one to join this slaughter.
He was no longer of Sanctuarium, and so, no matter what he did, it would never sully Lenixian's ideals. It was as if his words hid this appeal to Lenixian, or had his dispute with her all been a ruse from the start. Perhaps he'd anticipated this, and came to assume the burden of sin. Egress let loose the bloodlust that had lain dormant in his broken body. As if it were his calling, he said to her,
I shall assume the mantle of the Mage Slayer once more.
A ghastly bloodbath ensued. Egress turned to Lenixian and spoke again.
It matters little to me how stained in blood I may become, but you must not follow my path. Cry out the song of salvation. You can do what a man drenched in blood cannot.
The heavy scarlet of his victim's blood seeped through his robes.
You have walked a path paved with dreams. Reality is less forgiving. Yet, without ideals, this world is no more than a living hell. Your path has brought light to the lives of many, just as I was shown the light when I was a monster.
The battle that had unfolded was worthy of the Mage Slayer's name. Felling and sacrificing his foes one after the other, he tore through the monster's ranks.
And so there's no more followers, it's just the two of them now.
And he paid the price for his sorcery with his tattered body. He knew all too well what end his actions would bring. His humanity began to wane, but his resolve had been steeled. He would take his own life before he became a monster.
You know, actually, that brings up a good point. Like, we've never really actually encountered a situation of someone dying. Like, everyone just turns into monsters and shit, but nobody has, like, died.
Having offered his heart, from his mouth he drew the great blade his sacrifice had summoned. Excalibur. It is said that the rite normally produces a dark crimson glow. But the light given off by Egress shone a pale white. A pallid glow ensconced the accursed blade. Was this the spirit of Egress himself? Lenixian ran to Egress's side and cradled him in her arms.
I am a sinner, a murderer, a monster born of foolishness. Yet, despite that, you absolved me, a monster, of my sins. To those you have cleansed. You are the light. You must not let your light be sullied by sin.
Lenixian gripped Igris's sacrifice-worn hand tightly.
I do not want to see you stained with blood, even if the world ends. If rancor consumes it all, do not fall into sin like me. Not you.
Lenixian nodded, and, stifling her tears, said,
You are pure now. You needn't let past sins weigh upon you anymore.
Thank you. Thank you for saving me.
See, you know, like, this is more like what I would have liked to seen a little bit of some of the other characters, some kind of other exposition of things they did.
The blood-stained path of the Mage Slayer came to its end. In his final words, he spoke thus.
Oh no!
This is the death I wanted. Death with gratitude.
I thought he was going to say the line, you know, the line.
The last of the monsters felled by the Black Rite gave a low groan and shed its monstrous form. It was a man, and now the sole survivor of the Sanctuarium flock. Lenixian rose and approached him. Aware of his sin, the man's eyes welled up with tears.
Forgive me.
It was Lenixian who apologized.
I should have done more to give you hope. Forgive me.
The man wept. His tears glistened in the light. But what light did they reflect? The two were illuminated by a brilliance radiating from above. Lenixian gazed upwards and saw the white chalice.
Oh no.
Only the cruelest mind could devise such a terrible artifact. As if waiting for this moment, it whispered its temptations. Should you wish that the lives of your allies be restored, offer me the life of your companion. Lenixian could detect the intent behind those words. The cruel intent to distill mankind down to its ugliest elements. Her mind was free from doubt.
You must never lose your way, even in a ruined world.
Igris's words spurred her on.
You cannot grant my wish, Chalice.
Her wish was to change this world, where one could sacrifice another. Yet, the chalice did not respond. There was an eerie stillness.
Her wish was to change this world where one could sacrifice another?
The man with Lenixian was also gazing at the chalice.
Does he see it too?
The
Oh
man
no.
could also hear the voice of the sacred chalice. He had heard its offer too. The man wore an expression of bewilderment, and with that, she called the man's name.
Presso Camlan.
She seemed pleased somehow, glad that she could say these words.
I forgive you, even if you sacrifice me.
She could not let the fear of death shake her faith, nor could she betray her followers. At world's end, one faces the true test of how one lives and how one dies. The path one walked is the only thing one can truly pass on.
I forgive all the injustices of this world.
Presso wept and cried out, and he pleaded contrition. By the time Lenixian clasped Presso's hand, the chalice had vanished. The world continues its slide into absolute chaos. The few remnants of humanity hide themselves away from the monsters. Meanwhile, the cursed sorcerer tightens his grip on the world. He sends magical creatures to snatch away the survivors and sacrifices them with cold nonchalance. Lenixian and Presso set out together in search of survivors. Slowly but surely, people begin to gather around her once again. The reborn sanctuarium becomes the last hope of humanity. Hidden from the monsters, those survivors cling to their lives. Lenixia. Her name is the sole light that peers through the cataclysm. These are the memories of the survivors of the end of the world. The memories of Lenixian and Presso, my mother and father. As the heir to her storied name, I offer these notes in gratitude. And I dedicate them to all who have sung the song of salvation since.
Camlan. I've heard this name before. Have you any idea where?
Don't tell me that's something else. I mean, my first thought would be it to be one of the allies. Cam. Pulled the name before. Let me look it up. Can't believe on that.
These are the memories of the survivors of the end of the world. The memories of Lenixian and Presso, my mother and father. As the heir to her storied name, I offer these notes in gratitude. And I dedicate them to all who have sung the song of salvation.
So one thing I'm confused about is how did this get in the book, though? Cam... I can spell that right. Oh my goodness. Wait, what? Oh, good lord. It all comes together. So I wrote the notes in there? Or maybe it has something to do with the cycles and somehow it got in there. The meaning. Interesting. What an interesting way to just circle in on that. You think your character would mention something about that? You would think that'd be a little important, wouldn't you? Hey, I'm I'm the son of, the chick who founded Saint Tranian, think there's might be a slight upon detail. I do like how they don't just outright tell you that, though. And I think those unlocked from finishing the final fight, so essentially you can't bump into those by accident, really. So I guess you could argue the cycle may have put those in there, maybe? Wait a minute, though. But how's the voice sound? Because the main character does speak during the end.
These are the memories of the survivors of the end of the world. The memories of Lenixian and Presso.
I definitely want to make sure to compare the voice actor if it's the same. Well, I didn't get any points. Whip.